My name is Edward Affleck, and I'm 23 years old. I studied culinary arts in college, but somehow I ended up working in a carrier company that delivers car parts from a dealership to body shops located in the Great Toronto Area. I started to work in the restaurant, but the wage was close to minimum wage, and the tips were taken by the waitress. I couldn't take any of the tips, and my paycheck disappointed me. As soon as I saw the paycheck, I lost all my passion, and I went home looking for a new job. I put whatever on the search bar on the job board, and I ended up getting an interview from a carrier company that pays $5 more per hour. I mean, I wanted to be rich quickly. I have to pay for my school loan, car insurance, rent, food, and whatever. I couldn't just live paycheck to paycheck. So I decided to work as a carrier driver. Did I like my job? Of course not. Carrier driver was a lonely job, if you ask me. Every day I got home, all I did was lay down on the bed, watching my phone until I fell asleep. I watched famous chefs living luxurious lives, but I knew how long it takes to get to that position. I didn't have that kind of time. My friends on social media posted pictures of their vacation, went to Europe for the trip with their girlfriends, but I didn't have anything. I didn't have time to date anyone, and I was too poor to date anybody. All I could only blame was how messed the economy is. One day I watched a video of online gambling. The online game streamers were streaming playing online casinos. It was quite interesting to watch. Blackjack, Texas Hold'ems, and roulettes. The excitement that the streamers felt and the frustration that streamers felt were dramatic, but at the same time I could feel it as well. I always thought gambling was a stupid idea, but one writer on social media said, "Life is like a gamble. If you don't bet your life, there is nothing to gain, nothing to lose. You can play the same game like others, but the outcome will be different, because luck actually matters in life. Strategy, timing, and calculation. You can change the possibility of success. Play your life within your limit. Then you can have fun in your life. Don't be greedy. Greed will ruin your gamble." The quote was inspiring. After I watched the quote video from a non-famous writer, every time I watched the gambling streamers online, I started to think I could do better than them. Just like the writer said, strategy, timing, and calculation can change the outcome. I studied the games and did some research of how many decks of the cards that casinos use. So far, the blackjack had the highest possibility that I could make money. Roulette had a high possibility of winning as well. The odds of winning in American roulette was 47.38%. The possibility was high enough to gamble. I asked my friends to go to the casino together, but nobody followed. They said they were scared. I was surprised that none of my friends were adventurous. All they were complaining about was how tired they were, and made fun of how miserable they were. I realized I was more motivated than any of my friends at that point. It was Saturday night. I felt the irresistible boredom, and it turned into shade like gloom. The city lights that I saw from the room were as shiny as the gold or silver. I just remembered what kind of life I always yearned for. I looked at the top of the condominium nearby, and imagined myself to be at that height, looking down the city. I believed that I would feel superiority at that height. The breeze through the window was ticklish, and I got excited under the purple night sky. I remembered where the ticklish was coming from. I didn't want to waste my time just staying in my room. I waited until the weekend to go to the casino. I realized I hesitated to go to the casino by myself, probably because I was a coward or I was expecting attention, like the main character from the movie. I believed I could be the main character as long as I could win at the casino. The motivation drove me down to the casino that I always passed by. It wasn't too far from where I was living. I always passed by the casino on the way to work. Every winter, it was lit up like an amusement park, or carnivals, which I haven't been to since my elementary school trip. It was the first time I've ever been to the casino. The parking lot was packed. I had to park a bit far from the casino entrance. From the far away, I could see people entering the casino like the ants going into their caves. Just like there were sweet treats in the casino. I stood in front of the casino entrance. The amber lights were close to the golden color. It was bright enough to erase the shades that people had on their face. The casino was noisy because of the crowd's conversation and the cheers from the game room. I felt my heartbeat was vibrant. I remembered the moment when I stood in front of the amusement park when I was a child. It was about the same excitement that I had at the moment. People were lining up, and the people in front of me were moving side to side impatiently. While I was waiting, my head was heated up by hearing the electronic bell sound and plastic chips dropping sounds. I heard the numbers were announced every second from roulette tables and blackjack tables. There were numbers repeatedly announced, and people were cheering and booing at the same time. Security guard checked my ID cards, and they looked at me with pitiful eyes. He asked my date of birth and my age. Security guard put my ID into a machine and gave me the ID back without looking. I put my ID card into my wallet and saw how much cash I had in my wallet. There were $200 bills and 2 of the $20 bills. Every table game was around 25 minimum. The cheapest table was the roulette table run by the electronic board. I sat on one of the chairs and saw the ball rolling on the roulette. Even though the tables were digital, I believe the balls can't resist the physics. It was my first time seeing roulette in person. I saw where the ball landed before I bet the money. I discovered the roulette board and the roulette itself arranged the numbers differently, so no matter what kind of the number I bet on, the outcome will be random. Red was the hot color, and the hottest number was 14 and 18 and 32. Rest of them had similar odds. So far, there were approximately 60% of the chance to get the red, and 39% of black, and 1% of the zeros. I inserted my $20 bill and simply betted the $5 on the red, and Flower betted $1 chips around number 14. It was my first bet, and I believed my calculation wasn't wrong. Once the computer announced that the betting time ended, the ball spun on the table and slowed down in a spiral. The only attention I had where the ball was going to land. Ball hit one of the black columns first and bounced around a few other numbers. It passed by the green section slightly and bounced a few more times. My heart was racing until the ball stopped. It dropped on the red column and I knew I won. The number was 14. The electronic money dropping sound effect and coin dropping animations were like the fireworks in golden colors in my head. I shouted out the excitement and I saw how much I won. It must be the beginner's luck that I won $73 for the first bet. My total amount on the computer system showed $93. In 30 seconds, I made about 3 hours of my wage. I felt addictive pleasure, but at the same time I felt the futility of my life. I took a deep breath in and waited to bet on another round. I knew it was luck, and I had to take a time to calm my excitement down. Didn't matter if I bet it or not. The roulette was spinning. The next one was black number 8. Just by seeing an unexpected result showed up on the screen, I felt like I dodged a bullet. I bet on red and black. I started my bets with deep consideration and calculation, but after losing a few games, I realized I was betting more intuitively. The game kept going every 30 seconds, and I couldn't calculate the possibilities in the short time. I was winning money, and I didn't waste my time. In 10 minutes, I made about $300. The continuous winning made me believe it wasn't just luck. I was actually good at calculating the possibilities. I could be delusional, but the amount of money I made in 10 minutes was proof. I stayed at the roulette table for about 30 more minutes. At one point, I was not losing money, but at the same time I was not winning any money any more than $350. I felt like I needed the fresh air, so I withdrew the money from the machine and the machine printed the ticket out. I looked around to find a place to cash out. There were people lining up in front of the machine with the same ticket I had, so I lined up where people were and cashed out the money. I went out to the smoking area. I smoked one cigarette to refresh my head. The night sky didn't have any clouds or stars. The amber light was bright enough to cover the stars in the night sky. Even in the smoking area, I could hear the electronic bell sound to celebrate somebody's big jackpot. After refreshing my head, I checked my wallet. I knew I could just leave the casino, but I remembered my empty room. There was no such warmth, but the smell of the dust. The game room was loud enough to remind me where I was exactly. The bright light distracted my rationality. I looked around the game rooms to find what other games were available. There were Texas Hold'em between dealers, blackjack both Spanish and American. Baccarat was the most popular game, but I didn't really know how the game worked. Out of all the table games, there was a table that had the most people watching. I was like one of the sheep. I was attracted to the crowd immediately. The crowds held their breath to remain quietly. Just around the crowd, I could feel the tension, just by standing beside them. I could instinctively know what people were watching. Out of the 4 people at the table, there was one man with a large amount of chips on the betting section. The man had a total of 17 on his hands, and the dealer had the one card that showed spade 9. The man smiled confidently and tapped the table with his index finger. Everyone looked at him like a crazy person. I couldn't believe what he just did. I thought he was a totally insane person. Dealer pulled out a card from the shuffle machine slowly, and the dealer looked at the man carefully. While the card was moving on the dealer's hand, nobody breathed. I couldn't even breathe out in the tension. The only person giggling was the man who just made a crazy decision,